No Time to Die was a one and only kind of James Bond film for a lot of reasons. The ending possibly being the most obvious one. But there is another reason for me why it really stands out as a different James Bond movie, because there's one scene in it that I would argue you will never see in any other type of James Bond film. James Bond gets angry. There's that scene in it where he, tries to strangle Blofeld, going, "Die, Blofeld, die!" And that is lifted directly from You Only Live Twice. And obviously in the book, James Bond is absolutely furious with Blofeld because Blofeld murdered Tracy. Whereas in No Time to Die, James Bond is absolutely furious with Blofeld because he stole 5 years of happiness that James Bond could have. I think we always try and make James Bond be stoic and bulletproof and stuff. But in No Time to Die, the price that James Bond had to pay was really significant and felt really tangible. And I can understand why he got angry and wanted to throttle Blofeld. But it is unique because I would say throughout the entire history of the James Bond movies, with the possible exception of License to Kill, you never see James Bond angry. He never loses control. I think that's a really significant thing. And part of it is part of being a super suave, badass secret agent. And part of it is, James Bond is a very armoured individual and he doesn't like to show his emotions. But I think one of the most significant things is James Bond is a secret agent. He's a trained killer. He's a very effective operative. And controlling your emotions and controlling anger is probably one of the most effective ways in which you can be a good agent. Anger is an incredible weakness. And I think it's something that we don't talk about very often. And I think this is why it will be an interesting discussion to have in the context of like James Bond. So I came up with the idea for this video because I remembered a scene from The World Is Not Enough where Q, played by Desmond Llewellyn, is giving some final words of advice to James Bond, played by Pierce Brosnan. And even though there'd been this idea that Desmond Llewellyn would continue in the Q role for the next few movies, it was as if Q knew that this would be his last movie. It's as if Desmond Llewellyn knew ahead of time that this would be the last time he would play Q. They'd already brought in John Cleese to replace him, and so when he says these words to James Bond, it feels really, really special and really, really poignant. And the words he says are, "I've always tried to teach you 2 things. Never let them see you bleed, and always have an escape route." And the escape route obviously is him descending down on there. But that first piece of advice, never let them see you bleed, it's one that I've had rattling around in my noggin for years. Because obviously it's a metaphor. If somebody cuts you and sees blood, they know you're injured and they know you're weaker, and they probably jump in a bit further in their attacks. But I think it's a metaphor for never let people see when you are frightened or scared or angry. And I think people don't talk about anger enough. Emotion, or at least taking action inspired by emotion instead of sort of rational thought, is a really, really dangerous thing. And when you react to something in an emotional way, it basically reveals to the other person that they've impacted you. And yeah, if somebody can make you feel an emotion like fear or like anger, basically means you have surrendered control of your emotions to them. And it reveals weaknesses. Like if you react in a fearful way, then the other person knows that they can push forward in their attack. If you act in an angry way, then the other person knows they've got like this emotional leverage on you. And they can make you do things that you might not do when you're feeling rational. So yeah, having control of your emotions is very, very important. And when Q says, never let them see you bleed, I think he's basically saying, like, never let anybody see that they get to you emotionally. And yeah, out of all of the emotions that could be a weakness in revealing to people, I think the one that is really, really important to talk about is anger. And it's because look through your own life. I don't think there is ever an action that somebody takes out of anger that is positive. anger is a very powerful emotion. I think it's a very important emotion. I think anger is something that you feel when you have been attacked by somebody, and whether that's like a physical attack or whether that's an emotional attack, whether they do something that triggers you, that makes you feel insecure or hurts you emotionally. Anger is like your body saying, like, this isn't right, and it forces you to make a decision. You're going to fight or flight, and really that's the thing. If you make a decision based on anger as an emotion, it's either going to be fight, you're going to pick a fight with somebody, and that's often exactly what the other person wants. Or else you're going to flight, or you're going to flee, and you're going to cower, and you're basically going to reveal that the person who made you angry has the ability to make you cower, make you retreat. It's one of those things. It's a very, very dangerous thing to make decisions based on anger. And that's why I don't think James Bond ever gets angry, because he knows that if he makes a decision based on raw emotion, it's going to be a bad decision. What happens in No Time to Die? He makes a decision based on anger. He decides to throttle Blofeld, and Blofeld dies, and James Bond gets yelled at by Tanner, because obviously, we Brits, we try and keep things civilised. We don't throttle people when they are helpless prisoners that we know of. It obviously has serious consequences for him and that, and I think in our real lives, anger has very serious consequences. And I don't think we talk about that. The weird thing about anger is often used in stories and things as like some kind of show of justification. And when people get angry in real life, it really tells you a lot about them. I mean, here, I live in New Jersey. People are getting angry all the time. Like, why are you walking on the crossroad, you idiot? Or, I ordered this without onions, you idiot. It's a very boisterous, angry place. But anger so often reveals far more about the person getting angry than whatever it is that made them angry. Very often people get angry about things that really, there's no justification for getting angry about them. There are times it is absolutely legitimately fine to get angry. If somebody does something deliberately wrong to you. Like the other day, we had 2 bicycles stolen from our backyard again. Unfortunately, I managed to track them down. But that made me angry, because I'm like, what kind of person walks past someone's house and just takes their stuff? That made me angry, and that was a justified anger. But so often, people feel anger and feel that it must be justified even when it's not, and then they feel that anger is going to get them what they want. And if you can make the other person afraid or make the other person uncomfortable, maybe sometimes they will give you what they want. But it's not very often that actually happens. I heard a great saying where somebody said, anger is a weak man's imitation of strength. I think that's very deep advice. Because yes, if somebody gets your order wrong at a restaurant and you yell angrily at them, maybe they're going to knock it off the bill, or maybe they're going to bring you the food that's right. And they're going to feel like crap about it. And, it wasn't their fault. The server coming out and giving you the wrong food wasn't the server's fault, yet the server was the one you were angry with. If someone cuts you off in traffic, it's like, did they do it to be a dick? Does it really make that much of a difference? They're 1 car length ahead of you now. Why do we get so angry in like the cars and roads and stuff like that? And when it comes to things like road rage, that's when anger becomes a more dangerous thing. Because think of all the horror stories you've heard about road rage. Somebody gets really angry when they think the car in front has cut them off, and they follow that car around and yell at the driver, and then the driver comes out with it's something as stupid as somebody cutting somebody else off in traffic has led to people killing other people. It boggles the mind, and it's all because they don't have a grip on their anger. I'm getting to the age where I have lots of friends who are getting divorces and things like that, and if you're a man and you are going through some kind of separation with a woman or something like that, you cannot afford to ever get angry. Because if you get angry as a man, then you can make your spouse or your partner feel threatened, and then there are things that they can do to they feel threatened, like call the police or something like that. And then if you're an angry man and the police come, and you get angrier because the police came, then you could end up in a very, very serious amount of trouble. You never ever want to get angry with the police. Trust me. Well, I say trust me. Fortunately, I've never been in that situation. But I am pretty certain there has never been a situation in which somebody has yelled angrily at the police and it has ended up working in their favour. So yeah, anger. Anger is something that is a liability, especially to men, and especially because so many people think that, you know, anger is a righteous emotion. It's very rare that it actually is righteous. So I think when Q told James Bond, never let them see you bleed, to me, what I have really clung to with that is never let somebody make you angry. And that's the thing. Never let them make you angry. Because they can do things that are wrong, and they can make you feel angry, the emotion of anger, because what they're doing is wrong and is unjustified and hurts you. But never let them see that. Never let them see you bleed, because whatever you do to reveal your anger to them is probably going to put you in a worse situation. You have to be very cold. But I'll tell you what, that's the thing that makes James Bond such a lethal and effective operative, isn't it? It's because he's cold. There's that Scots tradition of, you know, vengeance being a very cold dish. Being cold and studious allows you to come up with a solution to whatever is making you angry that is going to work in your best favour. And the other thing that I think is very important to remember is if somebody tries to make you angry, and very often they will. I mean, I got bullied so much when I was at school, and I ended up... the reason redheads always have a reputation for having a temper is because I would get bullied and I would lose my temper with the people bullying me, and then the teachers would come and say like, oh, it's Roland, the redheaded kid, who's always losing his temper. And that's how bullies often work. Bullies niggle you and poke you and try and get you angry, and when you get angry, you become the bad guy instantly. And that's why you can never let them see you bleed. Yeah, get a lid on anger. And if it helps, there's something else I heard about anger that really reframes it. Anger is a really instinctual emotion. You have been unjustly attacked by somebody's physical or emotional actions. But anger is just like a spurt, and it tells you to get into fight or flight mode. But it's never an emotion that exists on its own. It's always anger because of another emotion. And, you know, for me, when I felt anger at somebody for betraying me, after a while, after I sat with that anger, I started to realize that what I was really feeling was sadness, because it's somebody I trusted and they did actions that I didn't think that they would do. And it's sadness because those actions revealed to me that the person wasn't the kind of person that I thought they were. And therefore I was sad because I felt like I'd lost a friend, I'd lost somebody special, because they'd revealed to me that they'd never been the person I thought they were in the first place. And when you figure out what it is that is really making you angry, an emotion like sadness, it is often a lot easier to deal with. And at least the actions that you take out of sadness are never going to be as self-destructive as the actions you take out of anger. And so now, if I'm ever in a situation where I feel that spurt of anger, if I feel that irritation coming up, I try and just hold on to it for a second and then try and figure out what's really upsetting me. Like, out of all the things to get irritated with, when I was locked out of my Facebook account, I was like, Facebook, I can't believe this. And then I paused for a bit and thought about it. And what I was really feeling was like anxiety, because I was like, I'm a social media guy. I need to get into Facebook. This is going to hurt me financially. It's going to hurt my plans for my book business and stuff like that. I was feeling anxious and afraid about that. And anger would be my first instinctual emotion. But fortunately, I've reached a stage in my life where when I feel angry like that, I'm able to hold on to that and not show that I'm angry, and then absorb it and actually figure out what is really going on. And the one thing, and that helps a lot. And the other thing that is really kind of cool about getting a lid on your emotions when you feel angry is when somebody bullies you and tries to make you feel angry and you don't, sucks all the power straight out from under them. And you can almost, yeah, when people try and bully you and be mean to you and say things to get a rise out of you and you don't give them that satisfaction, you can see them deflate. Times like that, I often feel like James Bond or the Saint or something. You know, in all the comic books and movies, he gives them that right hook. And I think when you deny somebody that satisfaction of making you angry, it's like giving them an emotional right hook, and it's really satisfying. So yeah, anyway, I'll wrap this video up. I don't know why I made it, but I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to be aware of your anger and make sure it never gets the better of you, and make sure they never let you see you bleed. Be like James Bond that way. Right, I will make another video soon. It was nice to talk to you. Cheers. I'm Roland Hume. I've sold 67,000 copies of my books. If you want to find out how I did it, I've got a link right here you can click. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I've got more videos coming soon. Thank you.